Relationships develop in patterns over time, and we go through relational stages that are relatively predictable in the sense of the cycle of a relationship, but the length of time that you spend in any one stage, and you may even cycle back through a stage depending on the relationship. But these stages are known as initiation, maintenance, and termination, and that's what we're going to be referring to. Why do we initiate relationships with another person? What is it about that person that makes us want to spend time with them, get to know them, share our lives with them in some way, whether it be small or large portions of our lives? What is it that drives us to initiate a relationship with another person? Well, you can probably think of a few things, attractiveness being definitely one of those that comes to the forefront of our minds, but there's 4 things that we're going to talk about: attractiveness, proximity, similarities, and goals. And we'll begin with attractiveness. Of course, attractiveness, which I'm taking this from Eichhorn's, Thomas Maddox, and Wanzer's 2008 textbook. But attractiveness is the basic desire that compels us to initiate a relationship with another person. And there's 3 types of attractiveness that they discuss. First is physical attractiveness, which I think is what most people consider or conceptualize when they think about attractiveness, but it's only one type. But physical attractiveness usually attracts us to someone to start a conversation, and it really affects that conversation in this initiation. So when we see someone, that's what we have to go on before we begin a conversation. It's a perceptual process in that we perceive attractiveness differently. And some of those differences that affect the way that we perceive attractiveness and the way that other people perceive us as being attractive is age, gender, and culture. When we think about age, studies have indicated that people that are older are seen as less attractive than those that are younger, and in fact, people that are 30 and younger are seen as more attractive than those that are 50 and older, just by age alone, for no other reason but just by age. So it's kind of interesting. Also, different genders view attractiveness differently. It's indicated that females seem to think physical attractiveness is less important. Not that they think it's not important, they just think it's less important by and large than males do. Also, the way that people perceive a female and male being attractive is different as well. For example, studies have indicated that females that are perceived as being very attractive have more difficulty in job interviews and have more difficulty in politics being accepted than their counterparts. What's interesting, though, is that the reverse is true for males. Attractive males actually get the job easier and usually go further in politics than those that are unattractive. So statistically speaking, and when we look at some of the studies that have been related to physical attractiveness, gender can have an impact on that perceptual process. Also, culture affects our perceptions of physical attractiveness, especially that which is purported in the media. And there are a lot of really good examples if you just look at Disney movies alone. And if you think of all the villains and the bad characters in the movies, well, sometimes what they do is they make them physically disformed in some way. And they're basically equating in those instances physical disformity with unattractiveness, which is really sad, but that's what happens when we culturally put that into something like an entertainment medium that's disseminated to everyone within that culture. So culturally, you have to look at what is considered to be physically attractive and what's equated with attractiveness. Now, physical attractiveness is only one aspect of it. Social attractiveness is also important. This is what we look at as intersubjectivity with relational partners. Intersubjectivity is the identification that occurs when we think that we have something in common, we have common interests with somebody else. And intersubjectivity, that social attractiveness, really helps us to see the other person as someone we could be friends with, someone we could hang out with, someone that we'd like to do things with. And that's what helps us to continue on with that initiating the relationship and move into things like maintenance. Then you thirdly have task attractiveness, and that's the extent to the other person can help you complete a task. For example, in class, you get assigned a group project. You may be looking around going, who is the person who seems to always go above and beyond? who's the person who always seems to get the good grade? Maybe they could help me out in this situation. And that's just an example of someone having task attractiveness to you. Now, proximity also affects the way we initiate relationships. It's indicated that we initiate relationships with people that are physically close to us. A really great example of this are people who begin their friendships because they live close together. As college students, maybe it's someone like a roommate or a suite mate, or someone who lives across from you in a dorm, or someone who has an apartment by you, and you start a friendship. I mean, think about the show Friends that was on forever, an iconic American show that most people will have some reference to for a long period of time. How did Chandler and Joey become friends with Rachel and Monica across their apartment hall? Well, they ran into each other. That's how they became friends. They saw each other regularly. That's how it was easy to maintain the friendship. So proximity plays a big impact in friendships. Research also indicates that college students, by the end of a class time, will be and report closer friendships with those that sat next to them in class than those that sat across the room from them. Similarities are also a reason why we initiate relationships. This is also referred to as homophily, and that is because we see people as being like us, having similar characteristics such as demographic characteristics, similar background, and so forth. And those similarities attract us to one another. And then also, someone can have similar goals to us, or can help us to achieve particular goals that we have. And those are reasons that we initiate a relationship. Now, as we initiate and begin a relationship, there's several things that happen through the course of that initiation. One, we increase knowledge about one another and about relationships in general, and we feel more comfortable. We reduce uncertainty. We develop feelings of comfort, relaxation, and confirmation about the relationship itself. We feel like we can be ourselves with them. We can relax. We don't have to feel like we're trying to maintain our face so carefully. So impression management, well, it's still going on, definitely. We feel like we can be a little bit more of who we are, our identity. We can express ourselves. Also, the physical contact is usually enhanced during the initiation of a relationship. You feel like you can pat someone on the back, you can hug them, or you can shake hands with them. Maybe in a romantic relationship, you feel like you can kiss them. So also there's a psychological closeness that develops where you would describe the relationship as being socially or psychologically very close. You feel an intimacy there. There's also reports of increased disclosure and support within the relationship, and that's all how it happens during that beginning stage.